Okay, so I'm going to give you a few brief tutorials using the Smart Notebook software, just so you get an idea of the setup. So again, I'm using a Mac, so I'm going to hit my applications, and then I'm going to go down to the Smart Technologies, and then Notebook. If you're a PC user, so if you're using Windows, you're going to hit your Start menu down the bottom left corner, scroll up until you see all applications, then you'll find a Smart Tech folder there, of which you'll start the notebook software from there. So I'll just let it start up here for a second. Okay, it says I have 90 days remaining, right? So that's what I warned you about. You only have it for 3 months. So I'll hit OK there. At that point, it should start up the notebook software. What it does is it starts up as a tutorial for you. So I do highly encourage you to go through the tutorial. Once, of course, the tutorial begins. There we go. So you'll see you have navigation over the right-hand side here. So it's going to show you the setup for the tutorial. Again, you can just scroll through the right side navigation. All right, it'll give you an idea of how things are set up, the orientation of the board, etc. So I do, like I said, I do encourage you to go through the multiple slides there. I think we have probably close to 30. Right, so 26 pages. So take a look through those, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off, of course you can pause me now and you can go through the tutorial if you want to, but I'm going to actually create a tutorial for you myself with several slides and several activities that I'm going to go through. I'm going to break them up into a few different segments so you can easily get through them. Alright, so I'm going to start with a file and then new, so that'll create a blank slide template. Computer's a little slow because I'm processing some video for you guys in the background at the same time. So, alright, so we create this blank template, and I'm going to give you some basic orientation first. Alright, so we have some markers, etc., that really are tied to using the smart, well, the actual smart board in the classroom, the physical piece of hardware. So, if I click on the, say, markers, it gives me a bunch of choices. So if I wanted to, I can obviously write. I can try to write my name there. Okay, it's clunky because I'm not using a scratch pad. But you'll see you can actually mark it up. So we could use this kind of as a whiteboard in itself if we had like a stylist and some kind of design tablet to work with to link to it. Otherwise, again, we'll show you the eraser. So I can erase little bits of structure. I should be able to circle the whole thing and then click in the middle and it all disappears. That works with the eraser tool on the board as well. So I can draw lines. So if I want to, say, create emphasis on something, I can draw lines, and to that I can also add some words to label things. So this creates as a label that I can drag around, as you see. Okay. And if I want to use some of the other tools, for instance, if I want to do something like an incremental reveal, so I don't want students to see the entire thing on the page, I can put one of those screens and then I can just click and slowly work my way down the screen from item to item. If you don't want them to be looking at everything at the same time, if you want to limit down their view of what's being seen, so we can go from here, and then if we wanted to go to a list of items that we're going to work with, that'll go down below. So we could do the instructional component up top, and again, an activity down below if we wanted to set it up that way. Okay, to create the big screen, so if, again, we're working with something that we want to reveal over time, go to the big screen, we can do full screen there, and you'll see it pops up the full screen size. I can hit escape on my keyboard and it goes away. Alright, I'm going to create a new one again, and we're going to do a basic fill in the blanks activity. Just because I don't want to delete out the individual pieces of structure that we just threw on there. So I'm just going to create a new one, and we're going to create a fill in the blanks here from the templates. If I go to the gallery items over here on this tab, and you'll see that we have Galleries Essential. Right, so if I drop this down here in Notebook Files and Pages, it gives me like everything. If I go to Interactive and Multimedia, those are mostly Flash-based or have sound bites in that allow students to experience. So if I drag that one over here, and then I press the A, you'll see it actually does a phoneme. No, it doesn't do the phoneme. It pronounces the word or the letter, what it represents. If I want to search for something, so I search up top, and we want to do like a fill in the blanks, hit fill there, drop down the notebook pages, and I'll just do a blue fill in the blanks. I'm going to drag that in on there. So what this is known as a infinite labeling tool. So if I click in here and then I put some content in, so if I'm putting together, for instance, the semantics of language, I want students to be able to put together and fill in the right sentence. Do that to make it a little wider. So what I'll do is I'll create a bunch of blank fields. So I'll do the, and then create a bunch of blank fields, ran, down, again, create a couple there. Of course, I could, put some underlines in there if I wanted to too, but I'm just going to leave it this way for now for the sake of time. So I'll drag one of the labeling tools up. Okay, so I'll drag that up, and then I'll create the answers. So I know the phrase is actually the boy, not with a capital. Drag that there. Drag another one up. The. Street. You get the idea here. So I'm on my last one because I've got really 5 spaces in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up. I've already got a period there, so I don't need that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in the right places to fill in the blanks. This is going to be like a drag and drop activity for students. So I'm going to put the correct version first. And if it happens to bleed off a little bit, I should be able to click back on run. And I can resize a little bit. Kind of maybe. Again, I don't want to obscure things. I want contrast, alignment, all those things that we talked about before to still be there. So I'm going to grab on there. And okay, so that one's the correct version, right? The semantics are correct on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my slide sorter for a second, and I'm going to create a duplicate version of this. So I'm going to click on there, and I'm going to clone the page, right? Or basically create a duplicate of the page. So that creates a second slide, you'll see, on the right-hand navigation. So I've got identical slides if I go back and forth between. On the first one now, I'm going to jumble them up on the bottom, because that would be what the students see first and the activity that allows them to drag things around. Okay, so I'll create a jumbled version, and then I'll have them fill it in from there, of course going to full screen so everybody can see. There we go. All right, and we can scroll that way too, so it's fill in the blanks and they'll scroll up so everybody can see. They'll go and they'll fill out the activity, so the here boy ran down the street carrying a bag of apples. Okay, so then what we can do, we can navigate between slides in full screen by clicking on the little arrows. If you're in the room, you can actually just drag across with your finger, and that'll slide between slides. So you can go forward and back using that kind of tool. Okay, so then I'll go to the corrected version just to make sure, right? So if you're dealing with a lot of variables as a teacher, and you're having to put things in order or put them in a hierarchy, it kind of creates an easy check and balance for you. If it's a little sketchy at times to remember everything in the order they went in, you've got the next slide for you to default on, so you actually know the correct order. Again, if you're dealing with maybe 25, 30 items, 35 items on one page, for instance, clauses in a story, which goes first, which goes second, which goes third up until the 30th, you're going to want to be able to have a quick, correct version to refer to. Okay, so that concludes this one, and then we'll go on and do something else for the next activity.